And we are live once again. And for those watching on YouTube as a rerun, should have turned that timer off. Oh, I'm so professional. And there we go. I honestly don't know what that did to the live. I hope it didn't mess it up. But yes, this is the preamble of me just sounding like a bit of a muppet until we get some viewers here on TikTok. Today's drink is iced coffee because it's still really warm here in the UK. Not as warm as it has been. It's still really, really fucking warm. Excuse my French. Anyway, I'm going to do what I decided to start last live. We have Dice of the Live. So this time, I don't know if you can see. I think that's a really bad example. But I have little ducky dice. Here we go. You see? Got these for Christmas a couple of years ago, and they're adorable. I rolled this in a Ravenous campaign that I'm currently running, and I just think it's kind of funny that I roll a little ducky D10, D20 rather, to attack my players lovingly, but still to attack. I'm going to do an honourable mentions dice set as well at the end of the live. I'll try and remember anyway. My brain can be a little scatty sometimes. I mean, if you've watched any of our content on here, then you know that, so there we go. But again, for lives, you get to see this hot mess live and, you know, semi in person. Case in point, I'm rambling. Just trying to fill a couple of minutes until we get a few more viewers. Some iced coffee ASMR for anyone who's interested. That sounds like a bell. Anyway, I shall stop in case that's annoying anyone. Okay, I think we're going to start with the live. So last live was all about the cleric, and this time we are moving on to the druid. I guess I would arguably say that druid is my favourite class. I played my high elf druid Thea in Curse of Strahd for so long, and I really enjoyed playing her. I really liked the mechanics of the druid then, and going through it, I don't know, I feel like they may have nerfed some aspects of it. So I mean, obviously if other people think otherwise, then that's completely fine, because, you know, people can have their own opinions, but reading through it, I do feel like that it was not nerfed, but kind of handicapped in a way, kind of hamstringed, sort of. But yeah, we're going to start with druid. Like with the cleric, their core ability is wisdom, and the hit die is a d8. I'm trying to show off the little duck, if you can see. So obviously when you have a long rest or short rest and you roll for hit die to get back any HP, that's the die that you would roll. And druids, whereas clerics draw their power from deities and, like, you know, their gods and goddesses and stuff like that, and pantheons, druids tend to draw their magic from nature. They can draw them from like nature deities and stuff like that, but they kind of, in my head anyway, primarily draw their magic from nature itself. And they're usually concerned with keeping the balance of trying to keep nature as pristine and natural as possible, whereas trying to keep it in line with how people need to interact with nature. If that makes any sense. I feel like I'm rambling, but, you know, for people to live in harmony with nature, like the plants, the trees, and the animals that live in nature. So at level 1, you get your spells, you've got your cantrips, and you get 2 first level spell slots, I think, and you get access to 4 prepared spells. So for the cantrips, every time you level up, you can change them. So you can have a look at the Druids list and you can change the cantrips if you want, because sometimes you'll pick a couple of cantrips and in the campaign you think, I've not actually used this cantrip and we've just leveled up, so I'm going to change it to something that I think would be helpful. Similarly with the prepared spells, after every long rest you can have a look at the list of spells that you can prepare and you can change it to that. So I guess it depends on what kind of campaign that you're in, or depending on, you know, what your DM says they've got coming up in the session. So you can kind of potentially tailor it to any needs that you've got. You also learn Druidic, and you've got Speak with Animals always prepared. So Druidic is another language, just kind of like, you know, Goblin, Orc, Dwarvish, anything like that. You also get to pick a primal order. You can choose from Magician or Warden. So Magician, you know an extra cantrip, and you get a bonus to intelligence checks as well. And you add your wisdom modifier to any intelligence checks. So for example, if your wisdom was a score of 16, then your modifier would be 3, so you'd be able to have a +3 to intelligence checks. If you go with Warden, you get proficiency in martial weapons and medium armour. So normally as a druid you have proficiency in simple weapons, and that's things like clubs and spears and things like that. But with martial weapons you get access to like long swords and battle like warhammers and things like that. And also you get proficiency in normally proficient in light armour, but you get access to the like the medium armour, which I think maybe like breastplate or ringmail. I could be wrong on that one though. Level 2, you get your wild shape. So like the barbarian has their rage, the bard has their inspiration. Druids have their wild shape. So in the 2024 version of the Player's Handbook, they made it so that it's a bonus action to wild shape, and in the 2014 version it was an action unless you had I think it was battle wild shape. So if you had battle wild shape you could use it as a bonus action, but otherwise you would have to use it as an action. So I think I do prefer that. But there wasn't a limit to the forms, the shapes that you could know. So as level 2, you can only in these new rules you can only choose 4 forms to turn into. I'm just trying to think back when I was playing my druid in Curse of Strahd, there wasn't actually a lot that I shaped into. Direwolf being the one that I used most, because my druid was a Circle of the Moon druid, so she got to choose higher challenge rating animals at a lower level. But I think like after that she did choose things like there was like brown bears, black bears. At one point, once I got a high enough level, she did shape into a polar bear, a couple of aquatic animals when she got her swim speed as well. But I think I'm not entirely sure if reducing the amount of animals is, I don't know, kind of nerfing it, maybe streamlining it a little bit. And I guess it depends on how you like to play. If you've only got a couple of animals that you really want to use anyway. That the number of animals that you know does increase as you level up. So it goes from like 4 to 6 to 8 as you increase your level. And you can stay wild shaped for a number of hours equal to half your druid level, which was the same in the old rules. So when you get to level 2, you can stay in your wild shape for an hour. You get the uses back on a short rest or a long rest, and the number of wild shapes that you get does increase in these new rules. In the 2014 version, they were capped at 2 until you reach level 20. But I think as you get to higher levels, I think you get 4 uses, maybe even 5. And I'm not entirely sure if they've changed the swim speed as well. So at level 2, you can choose a challenge rating creature of 1/4 or lower, and it says there's no fly speed. In the other rules, it says no fly speed and no swim speed. So I'm not entirely sure if you can swim straight off the bat. When you get to level 4, your challenge rating goes up. You can go up to a challenge rating half, and at level 8, you can go to challenge rating 1. Now that does differ in Circle of the Moon Druid, which I'll get into. That's one of the subclasses that you can choose from, but I'll get into that later. So I'm not entirely sure if you can swim straight off the bat at level 2. That would, I don't know, potentially be up to your DM, or if it's something that you want to discuss with your DM, you can always come up with something, you know, like house rules at your table maybe. So the rules are: you retain your personality, memories, and ability to speak, which is actually in the 2014 rules. You couldn't speak whilst you were wild shaped. I mean, obviously, wolves can't talk, bears can't talk, but I guess they added this. You retain your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, which was the same again. But I think in the old rules, you took on the HP of the beast that you shaped into. So say I can't remember the HP off the top of my head, but just for example, say it was 20 health points of the animal that you're shaping into, you then get those 20 hit points. But now you've got temporary hit points equal to your druid level. So if you shaped into, say, a wolf, you would only get another temporary hit points on top of the hit points that you already have. So I feel like they've, again, I feel like I'm going off on the druid in these new rules, but I think it's because I really enjoyed playing my druid in Curse of Strahd, and I do feel like they've nerfed them a little bit. So you can't cast spells in wild shape, but shifting doesn't break concentration. So you can cast a spell that requires concentration and then shape into, say, like a bear or a wolf or anything like that, and then I'm assuming that you could also use a bonus action to like move the spell or anything that the spell permits, really. And you can also choose whether your equipment is dropped, worn by your animal form, or just kind of merges with you. If you want it to be worn by the shape that you shift into, you'd probably have to speak to your DM at least in some points, because say you're a halfling and you wild shape into a bear, the armour that you wear as a halfling is not going to fit a bear, so it's going to have to be merged. At level 2, you also get access to a wild companion, so you can cast Find Familiar, and that animal companion is cast as a fey creature, and then it disappears when you take a long rest. And at level 3, you get access to the subclasses. So there's a circle of the land, moon, sea, and stars. And we'll go over those in a little bit when we get to them. Level 5, you get Wild Resurgence. So if you've got no wild shapes left, you can expend a spell slot, to get a wild shape back. And then you can do vice versa. So if you've got wild shapes but no spell slots left, you can get spell slot back expending a wild shape, but you can only do that once per long rest. At level 7, you get Elemental Fury, so you can choose either potent spell casting and add your wisdom modifier to any damage done by cantrips, and at level 7 you will have increased your either ability score or chosen a feat. So you could potentially increase your wisdom score here. So say you had a wisdom of 18, your modifier would be 4, and then you could add 4 extra damage to any cantrips that you cast. Or you could go with Primal Strike, and then you can add an extra d8 of either cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage once per turn once you're making a successful attack. And that's, you can choose it each time, so you could do cold one round and then fire another round. At level 15, the Elemental Fury increases, it improves, but you must go with what you chose last time. So if you chose potent spellcasting, you'd have to go with that again. So the range for the cantrip increases from 10 feet to 300, which is a lot. I do have somewhere, where is it gone? I do have a square of the combat. Where did I put it? I semi-pinched it from my brother so I could use it in lives to show people. Bear with me, it is around here somewhere. There it is. So, this is what I'm referring to. Obviously, we have like loads of these dotted around the table when we go into combat. So each square is 5 feet, and obviously that would be 10 feet. And if you choose potent spell casting at level 15, it would increase to 300, which is a lot. Probably even longer than my dining room table at this point. But if you chose Primal Strike, you'd have to choose that again, and then that damage would increase to 2d8 rather than just the 1d8. At level 18, you get Beast Spells, which means you can cast spells whilst you are wild-shaped. But not if the spell has material components that are worth like monetary value, if you know what I mean. So you wouldn't be able to cast Wish because that uses diamonds of 25,000 gold pieces worth, I think. So if it used, say the spell said a ruby that costs 200 gold, which the spell consumes, you wouldn't be able to cast that in this form. You'd have to cast that before you wild-shaped. At level 19, you gain an epic boon, and as always, the Player's Handbook does recommend one. There are multiple to choose from, but they always recommend one for different classes. And this one is Trans-Dimensional Travel. So you get to increase any ability score by 1 for a maximum of 30, and then you get access to blink steps. So immediately after an action, you can transport yourself to a space you can see within 30 feet. And that is the Transdimensional Travel. Ruining my own notes here. And then at level 20, you become an Archdruid. So you get Evergreen Wild Shapes, and that means if you don't have any wild shapes left, when you go into initiative, into combat, you just get a wild shape back. And you are a nature magician, so you can convert wild shapes into spell slots, and each contributing 2 levels. So if you wanted to use 2 wild shapes, you would then be able to I lost my place. So you'd be able to convert 2 wild shapes, and then you would get a 4th level spell slot back, and then that resets on a long rest. So if you wanted to just expend one wild shape, you could get a level 2 spell slot back. I'm thinking back again. I do feel like I feel like they've added things, but then taken away. So they've given with one hand and then taken away with this class. I feel like I'm noticing this more because I did play Thea quite a lot, and she was my druid. So in the 2014 version, as an archdruid, when she's hit level 20, then you could wild shape as much as you want. There was no limit to the wild shapes that you could cast on yourself. It also made me think of the Persistent Rage of the Barbarian. The differences between in the old version of the rules, you could rage as long as you wanted, unless you chose to end it or fell unconscious. But in the new rules, you can rage for 10 minutes without having to keep it going, like, you know, attacking someone or using a bonus action to expend another rage slot. So again, I think with the new rules, they are giving with one hand and then taking away with another. I'm not being down on it at all. It's just I feel like they've nerfed some aspects. So maybe. So the subclasses. The first one is Circle of the Land Druid, and again, referring back to the old 2014 version of the rules, they had like 7 or 8 different circles of land that you got to choose from, and this one you can choose to change it after a long rest. There's only 4 that you can choose from, but you can change it after a long rest, so you're no longer tied to a specific land type. Like there's in these rules, you've got arid, polar, temperate, and tropical. In the old rules, you had like grassland, you had underdark, that was one, forest. I think desert was one of them. I can't remember the other ones, but I feel like they've kind of merged some and then gotten rid of some of the others. And this determines the different spell slots that you can, the spells that you've got access to. So, for example, if you choose an arid land, then you can use Burning Hands. If you choose polar, then you get access to Ray of Frost. Temperate, you get Misty Step, and tropical, you get Acid Splash. So you have a different menus of spells, basically, to choose from after each long rest. At level 3 you also get Land's Aid, so you can expend a wild shape to emit a 10-foot sphere from your sphere from yourself, and each creature of your choice must make a con save, or so either choose the creatures that you want to make a con save, and then you can choose one creature to heal, and those taking the con save will take 2d6 necrotic damage, and the person that you choose to heal would take 2d6 of healing, and those hit die do scale as you level up as well. And at level 6, you get the natural recovery, so you can cast a spell without spending a spell slot. You can only do that once per long rest. And when finishing a short rest, you can recover certain spell slots as well, like a certain number. So you can recover 3 first level spells, you can recover 1 second level and 1 first level, or recover 1 third level spell. So it gets, again, it's up to you what you've already cast that day, what you feel like you're going to need going forward. Level 10, you get access to Nature's Ward, and you become immune to poison. And then, depending on the land that you pick during a long rest, you become resistant to different types of spell attacks. So if you go with Arid, you're resistant to fire. If you pick Polar, you are resistant to cold, and Temperate, you are resistant to lightning. It says Tropical, you are resistant to poison, and I'm not sure if that was just an oversight, or if they just decided that it's just going to make things a little bit more interesting, maybe a little bit more difficult, potentially make you think more. Because if you're immune to poison, you wouldn't need to be resistant to poison. Either that, or it's just something that's going way over my head. Hello, just seen you come into the chat. Going over the Druid in the new Player's Handbook rules today. Level 14, for the Circle of the Land, you get Nature's Sanctuary. So you can expend a wild shape and spectral trees and vines appear in a 15-foot cube. And then you can use it to protect yourself and allies, and they will get the same resistances as you whilst they were in that cube of the different land type that you chose that day, and you can move it as a bonus action. And I think, and I'm sure, oh no, I was thinking of a different circle. Resist it, half damage, immune is none. Yeah, it's just that when you get to, I think it was level 10. Yeah, when you get to level 10, you become immune to poison. But then if you choose the tropical land for that day to get access to those spells, you get resistant to poison as well. So it's a bit, I was just saying it was like a little bit redundant maybe. And I'm not sure if that was an oversight when they made the rules, or if they were just basically thinking it'll be a little bit more difficult potentially because they've got immunity to poison, but they don't have any other resistances like fire, cold, or lightning for the other lands. Caffeine break. So I think next we have Circle of the Moon, and this was my choice for my Druid, going at our Curse of Strahd, and I'm happy I did, because the max challenge rating for the Circle of the Moon, it does increase. So at level 3 you can choose challenge rating 1 creature instead of just challenge rating quarter, and I did find that was massively helpful, because Curse of Strahd is it's a heavy campaign, and it's very, very hard. So yeah, so at level 3, you're, like I said, the max challenge rating increases. It's equal to your Druid level divided by 3, rounded down. So at level 6, you can have challenge rating 2, and I worked it out. At level 20, Circle of the Moon Druid, you would be able to have a challenge rating 6. You could change into a challenge rating 6 creature. Your AC is also, it's 13 plus your wisdom modifier. So again, if you had a wisdom of 16, that would be a modifier of 3. So your AC would be 16. Either that or the creature's AC if it's higher. Although at level 3, even with the challenge rating 1 creatures, I don't think there's that many that would have such a high AC. They tend to be lower in AC, say like 11, 12, and they compensate that with having a higher HP. So they're easier to hit, but they have a higher HP. But then again, in these rules, you're given temporary HP rather than taking on the HP of the creature. Although with the Circle of the Moon Druid, your temporary HP is equal to 3 times your Druid level. So at level 3, you would get 9 temporary hit points rather than just the 3 temporary hit points as any of the other circles. Again, I'm not sure if the old Druid was maybe a little bit overpowered. I feel like I have to defend the Druid because it was my 2014 version of the Druid. That was my favourite class. You also get your spells like Cure Wounds, Moonbeam, and you get access to other spells as you level up as well. At level 6, you get an improved circle form, so whilst you are wild shape, you get lunar resistance, so you can choose to deal normal or radiant damage. And increased toughness, so you can increase your wisdom modifier to any constitution saving throws that you need to roll. So again, if your wisdom is 16, you get to add 3 to your constitution saving throws because that modifier is 3. At level 10, you can use Moonlight Step, so you can magically transform yourself to 30 feet to a point that you can see, and you have advantage on your next attack. You can use it a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. Level 14, you get improved lunar radiance, and then you can deal an extra 2d10 radiant damage whilst in wild shape. So you can choose to deal like the normal damage that you would deal whilst in wild shape, but also you deal an extra 2d10 radiant damage. And just thinking in lunar form, your HP would be 3 times that. So I guess it kind of scales. You'd have like 30, 40 odd. I can't math for someone who plays D&D. It's terrible, I know. But 42, there we go. Got there in the end. It's because I'm using my phone for the live and I usually use my calculator. I'm terrible, I know. But anyway. So you would have 42 temporary hit points once you got to that level. So I guess it kind of scales. But then again, if you weren't a Circle of the Moon Druid, you would have just 14 temporary hit points. So again, I guess it's how you wanted to play it. But I digress. You also get shared moonlight, so when you use the Moonlight Step, you can take another willing creature with you, as long as they're within 10 feet of you. And the next circle is the Circle of the Sea. You get access to like the spell list, and some of those spells will be Gust of Wind and Water Breathing. You also get Wrath of the Sea, so you can expend a use of Wild Shape, and then, I think I'm pronouncing this right, you can manifest an emanation. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It may be wrong. If I am, please let me know. And it manifests as like ocean spray. So it lasts for 10 minutes, and it shoots out with like 5 feet in front, like in every direction. So above, side, behind. And you choose a creature within the emanation to make a con save, or they suffer cold damage. And the cold damage is a number of d6 equal to your wisdom modifier. So again, if you had a level 16 in wisdom. If you had a 16 in wisdom, you would have 3 modifiers, so you'd be able to roll 3d6 cold damage for whoever you choose to hit with that. At level 6, you get Aquatic Affinity, so your emanation becomes 10 feet rather than just 5 feet. Again. So at first it would be just to here, and here, and here. I don't think... Would it be there? I guess your first 5 feet of movement on a diagonal is 5 feet, so it would be there, but I don't have another one of these, but it would go around here as well. So you'd be able to hit more people, you'd be able to hit like a wider range. You also get a swim speed equal to your speed. So if you had a speed of 30, then you would be able to swim for 30 feet. So if you landed in water, you would be able to move around fairly freely. Level 10, you become Stormborn, so you get a fly speed equal to your speed again. If it's 30 feet, you get a 30-foot fly speed. You get resistance to cold, lightning, and thunder damage, and you can gain these while the Wrath of the Sea is active, which is the emanation. I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but yeah. So like when the water spray, when you activate that, you get resistance to cold, lightning, and thunder damage. And at level 14, you get the Oceanic Gift, so you can manifest your emanation around somebody else. You can also, if you expend another wild shape, you can manifest it on yourself as well. So you and somebody else can manifest this like ocean spray spraying 10 feet from you in all directions, and I think they get the same resistances. Yeah, they get the same benefits, so they would then be resistant to cold, lightning, and thunder damage as well. And they would then be able to, I'm assuming, choose if anyone walks into that spray, they would be able to damage them for a number of hit die for cold damage as well. I think the final circle we have is Circle of the Stars. So at level 3, you get access to a star map, and this is a tiny object, and I think it can be like a little sphere. Or it can be like a map, something like that. But you can use it as a spellcasting focus. And whilst you're holding it, you have guidance and guiding bolt prepared, and you can cast guiding bolt without using a spell slot. And you can do this a number of times, equal to your wisdom modifier, and it resets on a long rest. So again, you had a modifier of 3. You could do it 3 times per long rest, so you could cast guiding bolt 3 times without using a spell slot. If you do lose this map, you can do like just a 1 hour ritual in order to manifest another one and get it back. And it can be done either on a short rest or a long rest. So say you lost it whilst running from an enemy, you could have a short rest, you could get another one back, and you wouldn't have to wait until the end of the day and the end of the long rest to get it back. You also get starry form, so you can expend a wild shape and you become kind of ethereal. You become like saying ethereal and twinkly in the same sentence, they kind of cancel each other out, but you kind of look like the night sky. Instead of turning into a beast, you become like this ethereal cosmic, not apparition, that's the wrong word, but this like you look like an ethereal cosmic being, and you shed bright light within 10 feet of yourself, and then another 10 feet is dim light, and it lasts for 10 minutes. And you can choose a constellation to appear on your skin whilst you're in this form. You can choose from Archer, and you can, as a bonus action, you can hurl luminous arrows from yourself, and you can also choose Chalice. So if you cast a spell that restores HP, you can, you or another within 30 feet also gain another 1d8. I'm not showing off any of my dice. 1d8. Just an excuse to show off my ducky dice again. So you'd get to roll a d8, add your wisdom modifier, and you or another person would also get that health. You can also choose Dragon. So in order to main concentration, if you cast a concentration spell and you get hit with an attack, you can treat rolls of 9 or lower as a 10. So if you make an intelligence, wisdom, or a constitution saving throw to save against concentration, you'd be able to roll. If you rolled a 2, you could just treat that as a 10, and then obviously add whatever bonuses that you have to that again, so that it might not guarantee you keep concentration, but it's a higher likelihood than if you rolled a 2. Level 6, you have the Cosmic Omens. So when you finish a long rest, you can consult your star map, and if you roll a d20, If you roll evens, you get a wheel, spelt W-E-A-L, and when a creature within 30 feet is rolling, so like a check or an attack or a save, anything like that, you get to roll, how many d6 is it? 1d6, and then you can add that to their total. Hopefully, that would probably most likely be an ally, so hopefully that they would succeed that check. And if you roll odds on the d20, that would be a woe. You could basically do the same thing, but you would roll the d6 and then you would subtract it instead of add it. So obviously you would use that against enemies. And again, you can use this a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, and it would reset on a long rest. At level 10, you get twinkling constellations. So those constellations, whilst you're in your starry form, improve. So the archer, the chalice, and the dragon, they would improve. So you get another D8 to the archer and the chalice. So as the archer, you'd be able to, it's radiant damage. So when you hurl the arrow, you would be able to deal 2d8 radiant damage. If you have the chalice, you would be able to increase the amount of healing to 2d8. And as the dragon, you also my notes are all over the place. So you get a fly speed of 20 feet, and you can hover if you have the dragon constellation active. But you can also change the constellation at the beginning of each turn. So if you had the archer one turn, you could change it, become the dragon, and you could fly. You could fly 20 feet up. Or you could fly 10 feet up and hover and then fly 10 feet down. So you could kind of change it up depending on what the battle really needs, basically. So like, oh, and we need a bit of healing, I can just change the constellation to the chalice and then offer healing to those who need it. And at level 14, you become full of stars and you become partially incorporeal. So you become resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. So once you're in the starry form, again, it can last for 10 minutes. And you are basically, you don't take as much damage from the bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. So I do feel like I said before, they've I don't really like using the word nerf, because that implies that they've completely taken away everything that made the Druid. They haven't. I feel like they've given with one hand in terms of you don't have to have battle wild magic, combat wild magic in order to wild shape as a bonus action anymore. But then they've taken away, because you only get the temporary hit points. At level 2, you can wild shape, but once you wild shape, you can only get an extra 2 temporary hit points. Maybe the original Druid was a little bit overpowered. Maybe that's why they did it, and they streamlined a few things. But again, I feel like I have to protect Druids, because I think I really, really enjoy playing Thea, my high elf Druid. So I don't know. I do have a soft spot for Druids. And again, saying that once you can only have 4 forms that you can choose, and I think you can change the forms after every long rest. You can change the form, so if you have, say, for example, I think the examples, I don't think I wrote it down, but something like a dog, a rat, a spider, and a cat. I'm literally just pulling these out of thin air. But then I think if you wanted to get rid of the cat and go for I don't know, a deer maybe. I don't know the challenge rating of these animals. But as long as if it was challenge rating appropriate, you can always change it so you don't have to have the same 4 forms. But I do kind of feel like that's a little bit restrictive. I don't know. Anybody else? I don't know what anybody else has. What their thoughts are. If you want to leave comments, then please do. I'm always up for talking about D&D with other people and gaining other people's perspectives. Because I mean, if someone has, potentially they have reasons for why they did what they did, or why they think they did what they did, then I'm all up for discussion. I just feel like they've nerfed the Druid just a little bit. But yeah, that is the 2024 version of the Druid, and I don't think I'm going to go live next week. I think it will be the week after that, but I think next up we have the Fighter. I've never played a Fighter. I have played a Cleric, played a Druid, played a Ranger, briefly played a Paladin. When I say briefly, I think about 3 or 4 sessions. Currently playing a Monk Barbarian in Icewind Dale. I'm quite enjoying that, I have to say. But yeah, I think next up we have the Fighter. So I think that will be the 1st of August. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think the 1st of August, I believe. I will put a video up of the next time we go live, and I think that will be the 1st of August. But yes, if anybody has any questions about the Druid, the old rules or the new, then I am all ears. And we will close. I started off with the dice of the live, which are my little ducky dice. It won't zoom in. Zoom into the duck. Come on. Stupid camera lens. But I'm going to do an honourable mention, and these are my teeny tiny dice. Oh! That's a bit rubbish. Can't get them out now. There we go. Like, test tube dice. And they are so small. See, that is the D20. Look at the size difference. I don't want to lose these. Look at the size difference. These are both D20s. And then you got the size difference in the D4 as well. They're so tiny. But yes, these are my teeny tiny little dice. These are the honourable mentions of the live. I think I'm going to keep doing this going forward. So I'll do my dice of the live, and then there will be an honourable mention at the end. But I think if nobody has any questions, I think I'm going to end the live there. I do have dinner to make, and I think I have a bathtub full of ice that I need to get into because I'm still really warm. It's still very hot here in the UK, and I'm not a happy bunny about it. I don't like the heat. I like to stay in the dark. I'm a little mushroom. But anyway, thank you again to anybody who, everyone who has watched, everyone who has participated in today's live. Even just staying and watching for a couple of minutes, every little bit helps. So I will see you guys on the next live. So farewell for now.